Hello and welcome to Haunted Highways. I'm Ryan and I'm going to be your guide tonight through some of the creepier and more mysterious spots in the Inland Empire. Whether these are haunted locations, UFOs, any kind of unusual creature, anything out of the ordinary, we're going to take a look at it. Now tonight we are across the street from a building in downtown San Bernardino, kind of one of the lesser known haunted locations, the Enterprise building, formerly the Andresen building. Now this is kind of an interesting place for me because I actually used to run a business in this building. I used to run an escape room, Hall of Shadows Escape Games, and while I was there, I actually did have some paranormal activity. The building itself was built in 1927 and by the Andresen family, and again, it was called the Andresen building back then. And some people will tell you that actually it housed the first brewery in San Bernardino, which technically isn't true. It's actually on the site of the original brewery, but that building was torn down before the Andresen building was built on the site. Now, the building is rather interesting because it appears to have several hidden spaces inside of it. One of them we actually found. If we go into the generator room and pulled a grate off the wall, there was a concrete room in the back that was completely hidden, and it was built in 1927, so odds are it was probably a speakeasy. However, there's several other areas in the building. There's a panel in the elevator shaft that looks like it's covering an old passageway. There's also a concrete floor in the basement that it looks solid, but if you pound your foot in a certain area, you can tell that there's a hollow space underneath. Now, we don't know what's under there, but there's definitely an empty space. Now, it wouldn't be crazy for there to be hidden tunnels in this building because the Andresens actually built a number of buildings in downtown San Bernardino, and it's actually not uncommon for buildings to have underground passages so they can move materials or just anything that they need to move between buildings easily, or for security, or just to, be able to do it in bad weather. So, I was at this building. Like I say, I ran a business. It was an escape room, Hall of Shadows Escape Games, and I ran it down the basement. And I'd been there about a year or so. And one day I was up in the lobby talking to the guy that worked the front desk, and he was telling me paranormal stories that people in the building had shared with him. People said they heard voices, doors closing, unexplained noises, the usual kind of haunted house kind of stuff. And I was kind of mad because I'm down in this creepy basement. I'd been there a year and I had never experienced anything. So I out loud said, you know what, if there's something here in the building, I would like it to make its presence known to me. I'd like to experience something, see something, hear something, nothing horrifying, just let me know that there's a presence here in the building. Well, I had 2 escape games scheduled for that night. So the first game ran, and at the end of the game, the people came up and asked me to go, by the way, and you have a little secret room, was that metal box supposed to be unlocked? And there's a metal fuse box on the wall that had a combination, or actually had a padlock on it, a keyed padlock. And I said, no, it was supposed to be locked. And they said, oh, well, it was unlocked. And I apologized because I assumed, okay, I'd made a mistake. It was pretty rare for me to leave a lock unlocked like that, but definitely not unheard of. So their game ended. I went in there, reset the room, double checked that lock. I put it on there, tugged on it, made sure it was locked tight. I was 100% certain. So the next game was played, and that was just 2 young guys that were playing. And during the game, they went in the little secret room, and then they came out and they said, hey, they're holding up the lock. They go, hey, was this lock supposed to be unlocked? And I was dumbfounded because I was rock solid certain that I had locked it the way I'm supposed to. So I said no, but again, it didn't ruin their game, but it just made it a little bit easier. So when their game ended, I apologized, and I told them, I said, what I'd said to the spirit, or said out loud, and they just thought it was cool, and I thought it was kind of strange. But again, it just looked like I screwed up, and it looked like I screwed up twice in a row, which had never happened before. So these guys asked to play a second game, our other game room. And I said, sure, no problem. So they went in, started playing the other room. This room had a little metal cabinet on the floor that when we first opened, we had locked it. There was a key you had to find, but we found out the key was really flimsy. It got bent easily. So I decided to keep that cabinet permanently unlocked, and there was something else they had to do with it. Well, they went to open the cabinet, and it was locked. And I first thought it was stuck or something, so I actually went in there while they were playing, and I checked it, and yeah, it was indeed locked. So I had to go dig the key out of the toolbox and open them for him. And I felt horrible because this looked insanely unprofessional, but we'd been open a year, and again, apart for the first couple weeks when I was using that lock, that door had never been locked, and it never locked itself accidentally. I don't think it's possible that it can lock itself accidentally. So I told the guys what was after their game was over. I told them what was going on, and they were totally into it. And we spent about a half hour playing with that metal cabinet, trying to see if we could make it lock accidentally. We couldn't do it, and we ran the business ran for several more years, and we never once had that cabinet lock itself again. So when these guys left that night, I just walked around the escape room and I said, hey, I very much appreciate you. You did exactly what I asked. Thank you. But as a favor to me, could you never mess with the games again? Never do anything that's going to interfere with what people are doing. But when I'm here by myself, fair game, you can do whatever you want. But as far as other people, could you just make sure my games don't get messed with? And after that, about once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, I would come in at the beginning of the day and I'd find one of the game rooms locked. We never locked the game rooms, but this one would be locked. It needed a key on the outside. There's a switch, there's a knob you could flip on the inside to lock it, so that it's possible it was getting locked by me or somebody else. However, it was happening 3 or 4 times a month for several years until we actually changed that game to something else. We put in a new game, the activity more or less seemed to stop. But it just seemed like there was, not only was there something down there, but it was something that really had a thing for locks, which I'll admit I found kind of interesting. So I would sometimes go in there after hours and when it was dark, turn all the lights and try to talk to whatever was there. Never got any response. I got an EMF meter and tried to take readings, never got anything. But eventually, some people in the building decided to hire some paranormal investigators to come in and do a professional investigation. I told them about my space. They were intrigued, so they came down. I wasn't in the room while they did it, but they were in there about a half hour. They tried EVP, they tried EMF meter, tried just speaking to it, and I don't know what else they tried. And unfortunately, they didn't get any activity at all. But there is an event hall directly upstairs over my escape room, and when they went up there, they did get some activity. They said that they got an EVP, and it was the ghost of a little girl, and they said her name was Faith. And they said that's the spirit that's been in our building. So again, nothing malevolent, nothing. I had no problem with it at all. Unfortunately, I never saw or heard anything after that, but apparently there is still that little girl's spirit roaming the Enterprise building. Now, unfortunately, even though it's a public office building, the building is kept locked even during the day. You can't go into the building unless you have an appointment at one of the businesses or if there's an event in the event hall. So it's not really a place that you can go inside and check out on your own unless, again, you're doing business with somebody there. But the building is located in downtown San Bernardino at 320 North East Street. So if you want to drive by and check it out, you by all means feel free to do so. It's a cool old 5-story, 100-year-old building, 5 stories tall. And for those of you who are interested in ghost hunting or, expanding your ghost hunting interest a little bit, I'd like to recommend a piece of software called The Plan. The Plan is a ghost hunting app for Windows. You can put on your laptop, and it's designed specifically for ghost hunting, for keeping track of EVPs, video files, photographs, logging all your ghost hunting activities, logging the stats on who found what, and just keeping track of all your ghost hunting materials and keeping it organized. Best of all, it's a low-cost app, only $19.95, and it comes with a money-back 60-day guarantee. So if for any reason you don't like it, you're free to return it. So if you'd like to check out that app, which does definitely help the channel, the link is down below. Also, feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon on Haunted Highways.